Enigmatic, imposing, overflowing with life, rainforests are the terrestrial ecosystems with the greatest biodiversity. A universe formed by thousands of organisms entwined, amazingly complicated web. Human beings have always found an almost unlimited supply of resources in humid forests. Food, medicines, fibers, dyes, ornaments, fuel, building materials, all have been used for thousands of years. But with the evolution of industrial society, the situation has changed. Rainforests in Argentina have been exploited for certain resources like quality woods, industrial raw materials, and room for agriculture. Huge areas of native rainforests began to disappear, and with them a large part of their biodiversity. Even so, they still hoard inexhaustible resources of an undreamed-of value. Rainforests are found in tropical and subtropical regions characterized for being warm and moist. These forests are home to a vast diversity of plants and animal species. In Argentina, there are three main groups: the Paraná forest in the northeast, the cloud forests commonly known as yungas in the northwest, and the riparian forests forming corridors on riverbanks that follow the course of the waters from the north of the country to the shores of the Rio de la Plata. One of the characteristics of these humid forests is that they have many species but few individuals in number. Thousands of different plants can be found in small quantities at different strata levels. The tall trees are the patriarchs of the ecosystem. Their crowns, at dozens of meters above ground, capture most of the solar radiation. Below, the crowns all in shadow, in a permanent competition for light. The plants of the understory adopt different strategies to receive a part of this fundamental resource. Some manage to increase their exposure to sunlight by enlarging the size of their leaves. Lianas and such plants, on the other hand, climb up the trees to spread their foliage in the heights. Many others, called epiphytes, use the high branches to grow upon them. This huge variety of resources produces an explosion of forms of life with amazing adaptations. Rainforests have been inhabited for thousands of years. They're an almost inexhaustible source of food. Wild fruits abound in spring and summer. A study conducted in the Atlantic forest shows that the local people use at least 17 species of fruit from the woodlands. Many are eaten as dry fruits, like the ubajay, for example. People shake the Hexaclamis edulis and simply pick up the ubachai from the ground. Others are eaten after certain processing. The Philodendron bipinnatifidum, an epiphyte valued as an ornamental plant from the Paraná rainforests, gives fruit used to make jam. The same happens with the fruits of ground bromeliad, the flowers of which stand out on the floor of the forest. The dates of some palms abound when the fruit of other plants is scarce. The fruit of the queen palm is sought by many animals, such as the black howler monkeys. Jam is made with this fruit, as it is with that of another palm from the north of Misiones, the palmito. Using its fruit allows the palm to live on. Palmitas are also much sought for their growing tip at the top of the stem or trunk. To harvest this resource, palmitas some 6 meters tall, which means over 8 years old, are felled, killing the plant, which never grows again. Patches of palmitas that have been felled illegally are evidence of forbidden practices. These are controlled and investigated in order to stop such acts. With responsible management, palmitas could be harvested in a sustainable way for food. The overexploitation of palmita is not the only case. Many animals of the forest have traditionally been captured for their meat, hide, or other resources. Agoutis, brockets, peccaries, tapirs, among other species, still survive in healthy populations and maintain small human communities that live in the forests. But the loss of humid forests and the overhunting are dramatically reducing the populations of wild fauna, thus affecting the local human forest dwellers. Another valuable food requires flowers and insects. The production of honey, both from native bees, wild wasps, and domestic European honeybee, Apis mellifera, is a common activity in the riparian forests. It's an important economic complement to other activities. These delta beehives are used to the fullest in the wild flora of the islands. If the humid forest is a lavish source of food, its value as a source of medicines can be even higher. Species with medicinal properties can be counted in thousands. One plant can have various uses. A few examples demonstrate this valuable diversity. The leaves and bark of Cecropia adenopus are used against asthma and catarrh. People with arthrosis use the bark of Brunellia. Among other uses, the root of Brunfelsia pauciflora employed as an antiseptic. Colt's foot is used to treat catarrh and stomach disorders. The leaves of Solanum granulosa leprosum are used externally as an anti-inflammatory and its fruit as a painkiller. Among other medicinal uses, the bark of the willow is highly used as a remedy for fever. Its active ingredient is the precursor of the well-known aspirin. The leaves, flowers and fruits of the sambucus, or elder, are used to treat various ailments. The medicinal plants of the rainforest are not just used locally. Many are part of a list of products sold in the city herbalists. These species have a significant potential marked non-traditional medicine. The extraordinary arsenal of substances found in the forest goes well beyond medicinal qualities. The plant diversity has chemical compounds which are very valuable to textile work. The locality of Baritu is in the Yungas. Inhabitants base their economy on small-scale agriculture and on raising farm animals. As a complement, the craftswomen work sheep and llama wool for weaving blankets and other garments. The value of their handicraft is increased by the use of dyes from the fruit, leaves, roots and bark of forest trees. In this way, the craftsman incorporates exclusive characteristics in their work, increasing their originality and commercial prospects. The nation promotes the added values to their work in the fair trade context. By widening the rights of the communities, the country encourages them to settle, offering basic services and opportunities that enhance their quality of life. The Yungas are seasonally dry montane cloud forests. In winter, the humidity comes from the condensation of low clouds. The tall trees support tons of epiphytic plants on their trunks and boughs, veritable hanging gardens watered by the fog. The diversity of epiphytes is amazing. There are dozens of ferns, some used in folk medicine. The peperomias, apart from being medicinal, are also used as garden plants. This diversity is enriched with various cacti, droopy branches. Even mosses are used in different ways. Traditionally, they were used to decorate Christmas mangers, but today they are also used as substrate for germination of certain plants. Harvest must be done in a sustainable way. Creeper plants have developed different adaptations to climb trees. Cat's claw derives its name for its claw-like thorns with which it clings to barks. Although it's very much used for ornamental purposes, it also has medicinal qualities. The potential of the Argentine forest for providing ornamental species has been explored very little. Although some species are commercialized and well known, many others could be cultivated in the country. In fact, large part of the trees in the parks and streets of the large cities come from humid forests. Tipuana tipus, the tabibuyas, jacarandas, and other trees are native to the Yungas. Although wood was the most exploited source of the rainforests, many other construction materials can also be found. Reeds have various uses. Many Guarani people use them to build their houses. One species of cane is used in basket weaving. The fibers are cut and woven into traditional designs. Artisans also use dozens of other native plants. The Guarani people make full use of the forest. This reflects profound integration with the natural surroundings and an incredible knowledge of the organisms themselves. For the Guarani people, the forest is their home, and everything they need comes from the forest. They see it as an ecosystem in constant change. In fact, humid forests are not static, but rather the result of ongoing ecological processes. Like in any other ecosystem, the route of organic matter is complex, and at a certain point it passes through the land, where the remains of plants and animals are deposited. The natural destiny of every living being is to turn to soil. The trunk of a dead tree becomes a habitat of very important organisms. Fungi are the main life forms responsible for the degradation of wood. With specific enzymes, fungi are capable of transforming cellulose and other substances into assimilable molecules for other organisms. In this way, they facilitate the use of the energy conserved in plant matter. And also their metabolism intervenes in the recycling of soil nutrients. Many scientists have taken an interest in the capability of fungi to digest complex substances. At present, they are conducting studies on the biochemical qualities of some fungi from Misiones. Scientists of Buenos Aires University have found enzymes that can be used in the cellulose industry, in the cleanup of industrial effluents, and in the development of new biofuels. Much of the working of rainforests must be sought beneath them. The soil is the matrix where everything takes root. There, nutrients are recycled and accumulated. Water gets purified. There are seeds, and there live the organisms that make everything function. But these soils are fragile and must be protected by the forest itself, especially during the rainy season. Part of the rainwater is halted and retained by the branches and foliage, so it reaches the ground gently. Some is absorbed by the leaf litter. The excess of water is released gradually and goes into the soil, and the runoff of water into creeks takes place slowly, without abrupt changes in the flow. The water streams to the rivers, filtered and sediment-free. When the rainforest disappears, the soils are left unprotected. With no protection against the rains, floods occur, and the ground is inevitably washed away. With standing forests, erosion is avoided, and the force of excessive waters is cushioned. This ecosystem service provided by the forest is fundamental, but it's not the only one. Its capability to retain carbon in plants and animals makes the humid forests an indispensable ally to mitigate the global warming and climate change. Other ecosystem services relate to conservation of biodiversity. Rainforests are home to endangered species like the jaguar. Besides, they hide inexhaustible secrets. It is estimated that, for the most part, the insects of the forests have not been described as yet, and there is no knowledge as to their ecological relationship with plants. Maybe thousands of new resources could be found in the unknown species, like medicines to treat complex diseases. But humid forests have values beyond utilitarian matters. They can be a strong source of beauty and spirituality. The growth of ecotourism, apart from its economic relevance, highlights the importance of natural landscapes for the quality of life of human beings. There's a priceless treasure to be discovered in rainforests. But for decades, only a few resources with a market value were sought for. Timber extraction has left large parts of forests in Argentina without any trees. The need for agricultural land and cash crops has produced vast deforestation. In South America, the Paraná rainforest is one that suffers most from the changes in land use. The result is the loss of biodiversity, the elimination of environmental services, the loss of nutrients and organic matter, and irreversible soil erosion. In spite of encroaching cultivation, plus agriculturalist colonies and forestry plantations for the cellulose industry, the Paraná rainforest is best conserved in Argentina. The challenge faced by the nation from the business sector and the citizens is protection and sustainable use of the Paraná rainforest. The lower stretches of the Yungas forest are very threatened. Sugarcane and citrus plantations now occupy vast areas. The montane forest, on the other hand, survives because of its importance as a regulator of water runoff. The law of minimum budgets for the environmental protection of native forests created the National Fund for their preservation and enrichment. It considers economic compensation for those who protect forests. For the first time in Argentine history, the state defines policies and sets aside funds for conservation, restoration, and well-planned use of its woodlands. This makes Argentina a leader in these policies in Latin America. But preserving the forests requires a perspective of the ecosystem as a whole. Its presence is the guarantee of the environmental sustainability in the future. Acknowledging its services and possibility of using its resources will be powerful tools to start valuing forests as a whole. Only then will society be able to recognize that in their complex diversity lies an indispensable context for life on Earth. This is the most important and lasting feature of the treasures in the forest.